Should be stop number 5. Europeans can scientifically categorize pain and trauma except for African descendants. Should we pursue reparations from a scientific point of view rather than just stating we are owed? Or does it make no difference? So this came with the link as well. Let me share that. It takes us to YouTube, it seems.
Speaking in a rally, and he said she has no memory of how she got to the party. You know, should we trust that she remembers the assault? And the answer is yes. And I'll tell you why. I'll tell you exactly why. And I also know that this woman is smart because she's a psychologist. She's no dummy. If someone is assaulted or experiences trauma, there's science and scientific proof. It's biology that people change. The brain changes. And literally, what it does is it takes the trauma and it puts it in a box and it files it away and shuts it so that we can survive the pain. Trump the other day was speaking in a rally, and he said she has no memory of how she got to the party. You know, should we trust that she remembers the assault? And the answer is yes. And I'll tell you why. I'll tell you exactly why. And I also know that this woman is smart because she's a psychologist. She's no dummy. If someone is assaulted or experiences trauma, there's science and scientific proof. It's biology that people change. The brain changes. And literally, what it does is it takes the trauma and it puts it in a box and it files it away and shuts it so that we can survive the pain. Trump the other day was speaking in.
Yeah, so that's a so-called Lady Gaga talking some shit there. So Europeans can scientifically categorize pain and trauma except for African descendants. Should we pursue reparations from a scientific point of view? Kevin Carre, what say you to that?
We should be. Shit, this is a tough one for me. Can you come back on this one? I got to really think about this one.
Real Black Gentleman, what say you?
Let's see. Can you, from a scientific point of view? Yeah, I think what was it? Some people were saying that Jewish people who had gone through the Holocaust had genetic changes. I'm sure that you could find like genetic like stressors, but I mean, I'm confident. I mean, you could sit back. You could do the test the protein, test the all the you know what I'm saying, all the lymph. You could test this stuff. I'm sure that you could do it. That's just one that could be one quiver in the little arrow holder. You know what I'm saying? For us to be one arrow in the quiver. That's what I'm trying to say. For us to go out here and Black people. How would I say it? I'm not saying that reparations, it's not going to be like a fixed point where if like Black people get reparations in America that things will just stop. It's a moving target. And what I'm saying is that I know what I expect out of reparations. I feel like you would sit back, you would do the math on you know what I'm saying? Like you would do the math on how you know what I'm saying, the you know what I'm saying, the lost time, the you know what I'm saying, generations, people, these things can be put to number. It's more complicated, I'm willing to say right now, because I'll just ramble and think about it as I'm going along. But you can do scientific things, objective things to to have the variable, which is us, and the control, which are the Africans still on the continent. You could see how behavioral tests, you can compare how people respond to certain stimuli. If those of us in the West kind of flutter a little more, if we're a little bit more stoic and we don't respond in certain ways because we've trained to stay still when other people might casually move to the side or something like that. There's things in which we can test for. I think that that's a very good question. I'm glad that you actually posted that, because I mean these are ways to think outside the box. And again, you can do it, but again, they will then constantly deflect and lie, and then say, well, again, that science isn't really the only way, and that you'll just have, things in nature can cause people just to go through trauma. The Industrial Revolution caused stress. They'll pull that on you. You know what I'm saying? So you just have to be ready and just be nimble and just, they slip up too. They got eyes and they breathe and they get hiccups too. And so, I mean, if, in the grand meta debate of trying to get reparations, I mean, Black people will have to have a period where we don't, things like not paying taxes, things that would relieve stress, because our bodies and those of our ancestors have gone through so much that, maybe we, the idea is that we would be kind of, again, this is presuming that we can even get these things directly from the greater white society, and it's not so simple trying to poach out good white people to kind of buffer us from them is a way, but that's not the total way you would even go about reparations. I mean, reparations is going to be a flurry of activity to just stifle those who would actually want Black people not to have any kind of economic undergirding that is owed to our ancestors. And again, I think that they want to wait out the clock and try to play if Black people just misogynize themselves out of existence in America, or they'll do it to the point where if there were 5 million Black people, I don't know the exact number. I'm just saying, talking about in this country. It can be in various other countries. You know what I'm saying? If there are 500 people at the end of emancipation, they'll wait until there are literally 5 million Black people in this country and be like, well, we'll do it like that. They don't want to pay 50 million Black people money. They should have paid Black people back then. They should have been real. And no, they were greedy. They wanted to, get the last dollar, the last little pennies out of us. That's the bottom line. They truly do not want to give Black people reparations because they wouldn't be able to fund Europe and buttress Europe and Canada and Mexico and Japan and the Philippines and Australia. You know what I'm saying? All that money going around the world, and this idea that the United States is so strong is built off of Black people. All that money should be ours, and the way that the world is influenced should come through our mouths. That's the end game. That's the only way it would literally work, is if we not necessarily have the physical liquid cash, but the hard capital and assets to boot. I mean, how do we get there from here? Pain, you know what I'm saying? Make sure that that we're human too, and that we feel pain, and that that's part of it. But
let's have him gas them up now. Gas, what say you?
Yeah, I mean, look, if Black people can get reparations however they can get it, they should get it. I'm not against it, but it's kind of like when Frederick Douglass got that bank, they pretty much gave him a bankrupt bank, right? They gave him nothing. You know what I'm saying? They gave him the bank and it was worthless. It was a waste of time. But if Black people can get it, wherever they can get it. I'm not mad at it. But I will say this about the celebrity. Kanye West has broken the oath. They're all doing, occultism, man. These people are sacrificing people. He said it. So I wouldn't take anything Lady Gaga says. They're all playing a role. They're all, instructed. Everything is scripted out for them. It's like the Truman Show. That's what we're living in. So anything she's saying out of her lips, 90% of the time, it's not an original thought. It's something that's been um, a handler has prepared for her, or something that they've put her around enough that it seeped into her subconscious, and she's just saying it, yet she doesn't realize that she's been, programmed a certain way. And we all are programmed, right? We all have programs within us. But yeah. So if black people can get it, get it. But anything out the mouth of a celebrity, if you take it and you take it as gospel, hey, you got yourself to blame. Kanye West has already broken the oath.
D Web, using the science of pain and trauma, do you think that's the better way to go about trying to get reparations?
Nah, I've already laid down multiple times to these people, which their best bet is gonna be pre Civil Rights Act 1963, upon which you're that whole separate but equal thing, which was bullshit. That's your best bet. Get your elders a check. If you was born in 1992, I don't support you getting fucking reparations. But anyway, this is Lady Gaga talking, right?
Yeah.
And this to me, it didn't even equate to the reparations talk. This was just a propaganda piece. We all know who controls Lady Gaga, like Gas Them Up was saying. Honestly, to me, and if we go back to the reparations talk, reparations makes zero sense to me unless you're talking about being an expat, right? Unless you're talking about taking that money, extracting it from America, and going to Africa or somewhere, going to one of the countries over there or something. Otherwise, you're basically fucking yourself over, because it's called inflation. Have we not seen what happened the past 2 years? You're talking about giving 20 million people. And that's a low estimate, right? 20 million people, however many dollars you equate. I've heard estimates up to like $300 million. When you increase the amount of money into the system without increasing the amount of production, you're screwing yourself anyway. Mm-hmm. Add to that, you don't control the means to production. I can give you $2 million, but I can refuse to sell you land. I can give you $2 million, I can refuse to sell you a vehicle. Or if I know you got that much, I'm going to increase the price of what I would sell that to you anyway. These people don't understand economics. They just talk. Half their argument is based off emotion rather than logic. And I've relayed this and I've talked this, and I don't even say this to white folk, you know what I mean? Because I'm not going to be the pawn to be the one against reparations, but I can make 7 million arguments as to why it makes zero sense unless you're extracting that money from the U.S. and intending on going somewhere else. Then it makes sense. But have these people going to sit here anyway? You know what I'm saying? The federal government is not a producer. The federal government is a taker. Their money comes from taking from taxpayers. Yep. You are the taxpayers. Rich people don't pay taxes because they can hire accountants and people who write the tax codes to get them out of that situation. So the vast majority of the taxes paid by the middle class. If you're black middle class, you're basically increasing the amount of financial pressure on yourself to pay yourself money. You're screwing your children in the long run. If you make this cash reparations thing, the only way reparations make sense to me is if you're talking about giving land to form a separate nation for black folk. That makes perfect sense. Even resources makes sense. But talking about cash, talking about fiat, you obviously don't understand economics. And you know what I mean? Like I said, I could break it down to a whole thesis if you want to. It makes zero sense. So I'm firmly against it, but I'm not going to tell white folk that. So I just kind of watch and observe and see what people do. But that's what all I got on that.
No, Webb, I really appreciate that. I was just about to welcome in someone who's on the continent, but I guess I'll get back to them later. Brother Bakari, what say you?
It's reparation things. First of all, if I was the one got to give out the reparations, and I'm the descendants of the people that bought the descendants of slaves over here. First of all, you wouldn't get a damn thing from me unless you're willing to take it, because I didn't go to Africa and say, y'all owe me reparations, give me some people. That's one. I'm just being honest. But we are our reparations. We're the most valuable commodity that ever brought into this country. That's why everybody come into our community and open their business. Until we understand that these people are not going to give us nothing, get off our knees begging these folks, right? And look at one another and say, we're going to control our communities. We're going to support black businesses. We're going to do what we can, open more black businesses. That's the only reparations that black people will ever get from this country. And like what D. Webb said, you're right, inflation. Me and my son was talking about that earlier. You know, gas will be gas will be $10 a gallon around the country. If you're not trying to take it from here, if you're not trying to take that money and leave here, let's say hypothetically they did. We're not in a position in there anyway, because we're not trying to build around. The people that screaming reparations are not saying let's build business. They're not saying let's come together and open gas stations. Let's open these corner stores as a group. Let's do group things. So if they gave them money anyway, it would just go right back to them. And like he said, with the inflation, it'll be hard to buy a loaf of bread. But for me, we are our reparations. I'm not looking at no way that why after all these years, and we have been asking, why do we have to? How many times do your girlfriend have to tell you no? How many times do that woman you want to get? See, look at this shit like a relationship. How often do you have to? How many times y'all know y'all young? Y'all want to give with this girl. She pretty, she fine. You want to get with her, and then y'all heard she might be getting it up too. But how many times did she have to tell you no before you realize you just move on? You're gonna talk to somebody else. Eventually, that's what black people gonna have to do. We're gonna have to say, you know what? This woman called the United States of America don't want us. They don't want to give us none. And in this case, the none is the son. They don't want to give it to us. And what they don't want to give to you is the reparations, is money. So it's time for us to figure out another way. And once we look in the mirror and pull our pants up, black men play their role, black women play their role, and we'll understand that we are our reparations. I'll yield the mic.
I appreciate that, Bakari. Forecast. Should we use the European science of pain and trauma towards getting reparations? What say you?
Well, yeah, I think that we already tried that. You tried the historic way, the moral way, you know what I'm saying? I think we tried every kind of way, you know, but obviously there's only one way that you can get anything, and that's to take whatever it is that you feel like is owed to you, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, like D Web said, it's not just like money, but like, you know, tangible resources or whatever, you know, things that you need to rebuild your community or whatever the debt may be, you know what I'm saying? Because it could be something else, you know. So yeah, I think that we already tried to do that, you know, and yeah, obviously, you know, we are owed what we owed, but you know what I'm saying, there's only one way to really get it, and that's to, you know, I mean, it's different ways to get to that, but there's only one really way to do that. And you can't, we don't even have like political power, nor do we ask for it, because it no matter what it is, you know, whether it be voting or whatever it is, we have a real low margin, or we don't need much to be happy to accept to vote or to support something, you know what I'm saying? So until we get like that kind of integrity or kind of pride within ourselves, you know, to where we can actually support each other or whatever, then no kind of argument, because you can't argue for it, you know what I'm saying? Because, you know, why would they do that, you know? So, but yeah, I'll pass the mic. But yo, I gotta hop off soon.
No, I appreciate you coming on tonight, Forecast. Thanks for your input, all right?
Yeah, appreciate it.
Yeah, you guys make sure to subscribe to the Forecast Radio, one of the shows on KWAZ Radio, part of Team Black as well. So make sure you guys subscribe to that channel. Again, thanks to the Forecast for coming through. Kevin Carre, you needed some more time. Did you get enough time?
Yeah, I was just thinking, you know, we had this discussion many years ago. Let's say they do give you the reparations. They can just say, hey, you know what? Yeah, let's give these people all this money. Let's just change the currency up. Like
Yeah.
I always mention, now they're slowly moving into the ISO standard 2022. They're slowly easing in the CBDC now. So they can say, hey, yo, let's give them all this worthless cash, but now we have moved over. At this point, as panel say, we just got to concentrate on each other and build, man. that's our own reparations at this point. You can keep begging and begging and begging and say, oh, we want reparations. They're gonna keep giving you the middle finger. That's the definition of insanity, doing the same thing every day and getting the same results. I'll pass the mic.
I appreciate that, Kevin Carre. Is Oni back? Perhaps not. Observing immigrants.
Hi.
Observing immigrants. What
Yeah.
say you to everything you heard here?
Well, I think that we can categorize the pain and trauma. Europeans have already stated it. I mean, you know, if Gaga knows that, I'm sure the scientists know that, that the pain and trauma is passed on. So we know that, they know that, and I think that it should be a point of view that should be used to pursue reparations. With that said, I also believe that Europeans have no intentions to ever give us reparations. I don't know why we feel we must dance and sing to get this reparations when they took us and enslaved us, and we didn't have to dance and sing then. So I personally feel that to say that we shouldn't be giving reparations, and the other guy that said that the people past 1992 shouldn't get reparations. Truly, you will not hear the Jews say, "Oh, we shouldn't get reparations." You didn't hear the Japanese say that. I think you should milk the Europeans for all they're worth. Every single cent you can squeeze out their backside, I think we should go for it. And if it sinks the European ship, then so be it. Fuck them. Let us all sink together. But when we speak about reparations and saying that it would drown the economy, we fail to understand that we are not the only people that would be getting money. Do you really think that rich white people would let themselves watch an economy crash? Even if they're going to change the money, who stops us from changing our money too? Money is money, right? So if they're going to change it to another form, whether it is crypto or whatever, you now have the money to purchase crypto. We're speaking as if when we get the money, we're the only ones that are going to be rich. The majority of the world is rich, and the majority of the world are rich whites. So even if we got money, we're never going to have as much money as them. Yes, they can crash the economy, but are they really going to sit? Are the 1% really going to sit and watch an economy get crashed just because black people got rich? We still won't be 1% rich. We'll be richer, but we won't be 1% rich. So with them trying to find a way to destroy us, I can't see them doing it without destroying themselves. And that's just me being naive to economics and how financial literacy works. But I can't see us getting 300,000 or a million and thinking that we are the richest people in the planet now. I mean, honestly, we wouldn't. Would we be the top 20% rich? I don't even think so. There's a lots of millionaires that already exist. So for them to crash an economy would be watching themselves also crash and burn. And if that's the way they want to go, then we all burn together, bitches. We'll all burn together. Because at this point, we keep wanting to save Europeans at our detriment. So if they burn, we'll all go down together. Yeah. So that's my opinion.
All right, thank you for that. BB Rodriguez says the Bayesian lady is correct.
Can I respond real quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
In terms of when we talk about the 1992 thing, that was in terms of the argument for reparations, which I think should be based off of Jim Crow rather than slavery. That's why I was going with that. On top of that, I'm not gonna harp too hard because I don't think the young lady understands fiat or the Federal Reserve or the IMF and how all these things work. It don't matter how much money you give off if I control the means of production of the money. Which you have to do your research into fiat and how that works and all these other things, which the currency is not even backed behind a tangible resource at this point. Right. So they can hand out $300 million. They control what $300 million is. So it doesn't matter how much money you hand out if it's not. That's why I went to resources rather than talking straight fiat. You know what I'm saying? But like I said, I'm not going to harp too hard on it. You know what I'm saying? We all got to start somewhere. I understand her sentiment and where she's coming from, but I think she just needs to do a little bit more diligence in terms of, speaking about the fiat currency and what they did to it.
So I have a question for you. So my question is, okay, if you're saying 300 million for the overall black population in America.
Per person, it's supposed to be what per person and per family is what the estimates have I heard.
Okay, but they won't be getting that all at one time.
I have no clue. Nobody has a plan. That's the whole another point. Nobody has a plan.
Okay, so let's say that that's what they want to pay out. Say they give you, I don't know, 30,000 a month for, I don't know, 10 years, whatever. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You are still not rich. I mean, why would they crash an economy because of that? You've got an economy of 300. You've got America's what? 300. How many Europeans are here? What's the population of Europeans in America?
There are no
But
Europeans in it. What are you talking about? Americans, white Americans?
Yeah.
you mean white Americans?
Yeah.
So what? Black people is
I know it's
allegedly 30
It's
million.
40.
Is allegedly. I
But they're
don't
like
believe that, but
62%. I think you want to say.
yeah, they're about 60% of the population of West. 300 million Americans, a little bit over that.
Yeah.
So 60% of the 300.
Yeah. So I mean,
Don't ask me to do math tonight.
yeah, but I'm just saying that the amount of black population, because you know the FBA ain't trying to get the black immigrants to get anything, so that's even less than 40 million people. So
But sister, here's the thing: you have to understand the way empires, because I think if you look at it from like okay, at one point in time it was the British Empire, right? France had an
yes,
empire, but what happened to Britain, right? They said the sun never sets on the British Empire. But right now, if I gave you a British pound, well, I mean, it is valuable up until recent with the rise of the dollar. The dollar's been going crazy if you follow forex. But the United States pretty much the transition. So I won't say that they bankrupted Britain, but if you look at World War II and World War I, rich white men allowed chaos and bankruptcy to happen, right? And they were able to thrive off the pickings. So, there is a globalist agenda, right? They're talking about the Great Reset. So I wouldn't be so, you're right, but I wouldn't be so hell bent to believe that, oh, we'll burn it down and they'll go down with us. They will have no hesitation to hit the burn button because they already have contingencies in place for that. These guys got bunkers. We're talking about the rich of the rich. They got bunkers. They got islands in Dubai and off the coast of this place and that place. We will be,
It ain't even.
yeah, go ahead.
They have what's called gold. Look at the gold reserves. All you have to do is research who has the gold reserves.
Yeah, Fort Knox, all that stuff. Federal Reserve, Fort Knox, all the gold.
If you
Yeah.
do the research into that, you'll see where all the power lies. Like I said, you can't get caught up in this fiat, yo. The only reason money has any kind of value is because you accept it, and then once again, like I said, we're going to the whole fiat. We're going getting off the gold standard and things like that. So that's why I said it takes more research. That's why I think it's kind of it's kind of.
Did you see the chat? BB says there's some doctor that Dr. Hillary Beckles and Dr. Darity, they've done the numbers allegedly, and they can calculate. Have you seen that?
Don't listen to Sandra Darity.
I don't really care about who done the research on what numbers, or like I said, when the people that control the currency, they control the currency. You have a credit score. Every country has a credit score. Okay, like you have a credit score of 780 and 720. They give credit scores to countries, and they can even invalidate your currency. You know what I'm saying? Like it's deeper than what people think. That's why it takes a lot of research. It took me years. It took me years to learn that stuff. That's why I don't even harp to.
So we're never gonna get.
You sound like you've been researching too, D. Webb. I'll give you your prop. You have said some stuff tonight. All these people claiming they know about reparations and been studying it. You have said some stuff tonight. None of them has ever said. I give you your props on that. You called me an old man the last time, so I guess the old man is learning from the old man is learning from the young man. I'm just that don't bother me, man. We was just talking noise. That don't bother me. I don't mind learning because you said some stuff I haven't heard nobody touch on. I give you your props on that. I can tell you've been studying. But let me say this right quick, then I'm gonna yield the mic. Check this out. When we talk about reparations, have y'all ever heard them say this? Native Americans get reparations. They gave reparations to Chinese and Japanese and everybody else, right? You heard them say that? Watch this. Did any of those people ever say they want to go live around white people? All them people stayed to themselves, right?
Yep.
I think part of the problem is this is just me. Black people want to be under white people too bad. If I give you some money, you don't even want to go build your own neighborhood. You want to come be my neighbor. Don't care where we move, y'all still follow me. I'm just saying, I just look at the people that did receive from this country and just look at them. They're not trying to live under white people. Black people, excuse me. A lot of black people, that's their goal. I get money. I want to be around them. They don't want you around them. In all honesty, Black people haven't figured that out yet. But white people also haven't figured out, don't care where they go, they can't stop black people from going. But I'm just saying, I don't think you're going to get reparations anyway. But I look at the people who did get reparations. You see those people had their own communities, their own everything, and is not arguing to be under white people. That's just my take on it.
Can I say something? Can I just add on to what the vice president said?
Actually, I gotta get to Oni because he's in Tanzania, and the internet seems a little iffy. Let's see if we can get him on real quick. Oni, what say you?
Yeah, peace. What, Mamba Clyde? This internet. So if I cut out, obviously you could just, I won't even know. But as far as the reparations question, like I think people gotta understand supply and demand. I think Marcus Garvey was the way was saying. She was saying she was naive in economics but she was like, why would she doubts that the white boy is gonna crash his economy, just because he gave reparations. And the reality is this: if he gave reparations, that would be the crash. I don't know about this $30,000 not being if you could say $30,000 a month is not going to make you rich, that's fine. But you damn sure ain't gonna be working. If you go to work, what'd you say?
Good money.
Yeah, that's just good damn money. You ain't gonna be rich, but you gonna be going to work, right? I mean, now assuming all the prices stay the same, right? Are you going to work after you getting $30,000 a month, right? When some black folk ain't making $30,000 in a year. Now all of a sudden they're gonna still be going to work. No, so first off, you're gonna take people off the labor market, right? That's one thing, right? Two, on top of that, the prices are not, because your buying power, if you're in some crappy community, or if you go to another community, obviously, but if you're in some crappy community and then your buying power, I guess it multiplies by 12, right? Why would the cost of bread remain the same? Because you're now going to have the ability to just go into anywhere and just buy up everything, or you'll be able to afford buying up businesses in a sense, right? Now, if you can do it and somebody else can do it and somebody else can do it, whoever is selling it is going to increase the cost of that business. Now, if they're doing that, then they're increasing the cost on everybody who didn't get reparations, right? Like the sister was saying, the argument is that it's not Afro-Caribbeans, and it's not going to be white folk, right? So now white folk and Afro-Caribbeans and so on and so forth are going to not be able to afford anything, because the only people that could afford something are the African Americans who don't even need to work. So now the rest of us will be working, right, but be unable to afford anything, whereas African Americans will not need to work, and that's fine. I get that. That's probably the goal. The idea is, hey, we already worked, so on and so forth. But the reality is that kind of situation where pretty much a lot like the people who right now are the underclass, for what it's worth, the people right now, for them to essentially become the leisure class overnight, is this not something that anybody in government is going to co-sign? It's just not something that anybody in government is going to co-sign. And as far as the question of will they crash their own economy if they gave reparations, the reality is that
there goes our Tanzania internet. Only cut out there. We don't know when he's going to come back in. Is there any last words
at the most critical part?
I know.
he cut out at the most critical part. I just have after listening to this, I'm like, well, we won't pursue reparations because we're afraid that they crash the economy. We're afraid to fight because we're afraid they kill us. Like everything we want to do, everything is always worst case scenario. We don't move forward to help ourselves because of what the worst case scenario of what they'll do. So we'll never come out of our situation. 400 years from now, we'll still say, oh, we don't want this. We're never going to do this because they're going to do this. We're never going to go anywhere. At this point, by our logic, everything we do will always be met with bigger and better.
But sister, who is we? Who's
Yeah, you're not going to get out of the situation. That's the thing. The reality is that that's it. Like you said, you're not going to get out of the situation because it's not your country. It's not your country to like. It's not your country. So if like the thing is that we all understand. If I'm in China, right, I'm not going to be doing better than the Chinese people, right? We all understand that. If I'm in Russia, I'm not going to be doing better than the Russian people. But like America, we like everybody on the planet knows America to be the most racist country, like the most racist country. Not like oh blah blah blah, like the country that Hitler was like, yo, let me peep game. Like that's the country that America is. And then, but for some reason, we all understand you can't excel the Chinese in China, you can't excel the Russians in Russia. But we think, yo, yeah, there's a way for us to finesse our way to the top of America. And it just doesn't make any sense.
But the Jews come here and do better. I mean, you everybody agrees the Asians come here and do better. So
But there's a reason.
People can do better.
People say that. People say that. No. All right, I'll give you this. I'll give you this. This brother was telling me this, that there's this clip of some movie. I think it's like Leonardo DiCaprio talking to somebody, and the clip that he showed was like, you know, these others, I think Italian guy was talking to this white American guy, and he's like, what do you white Americans have? You know, we Italians, we got the police force, and we Jews, we got the finance, and we got, you know, the black Americans got the music and the athletics. What do you white folk have? And the white man was like, we got the country. Like you guys are just visiting. You know, like you guys are just visiting. And it's really the case. Like, yeah, I could look, if the highest income population in America right now is the Indian immigrant. You know what I mean? Like that's the highest income. You know, like you know, the Italian immigrant can make a lot of money. Everybody, like a lot of immigrants make more money than the regular folk. But that does not exclude the fact that white folk are the vast majority. And when push comes to shove, these motherfuckers will fucking kill anybody here, and they can get away with it because it's their fucking country. Just like if push comes to shove in China, I can make a good fortune in China. I can get a black community going in China. But push comes to shove, no, you know, it's not now right now. All right, well, I don't want to say it. I'm not gonna say the motherfucker's name. But like, let's say, I'm just gonna sit back and let let black folk take shit over. Like it doesn't make, like, we know it doesn't make sense in China. We know it doesn't make sense in Russia. We know it doesn't make sense in any modern economy. Like it might make sense in some countries in Africa. It really doesn't, but it might make sense. Like we know that even in Africa, we know that if a bunch of people from another country goes into a different African country, that we know that people are not going to just sit by and let that happen. But somehow we think, oh yeah, in America, that's where it's going to work. Like, why would it work? Like, of all the places on the planet, you should be like, in America, that's where it's not going to work. You know, like you might be like, because if I told you, hey man, you know, we Igbo, we could take over the Kikuyu, right? Like you'd be like, that's stupid. There's no way the Kikuyu are going to support a bunch of Igbo taking them over, right? And that's
everybody
fine.
Let Europeans take over. So why are we still limiting ourselves? Europeans have gone over and have no rules to taking
let them. No, that's what I'm saying. They didn't let them.
Yeah, only cut out again. Gas, you wanted to say something earlier, right? Go ahead.
No. I mean, look, I'm just saying that a lot of times we use that word "we." There is no "we." There's no real serious movement of anything that, whether it be in Africa or whether it be in the Caribbean or whether it be in America, where Black people are working as a collective, to achieve whatever, you know, the aims are, whether it be political, economic, spiritual, social. It doesn't exist. You know, I read a quote somewhere. It said that there are no Black communities in America. They're just Black people living in American communities, and I feel that's just very true. So I understand what you're saying, sister. That yeah, you know, people should stand up and fight. But look, you know, that fight, I agree with you. You know what I'm saying? I'm ready for the fight, but I'm also not naive to understand that, you know what they say, you know, before you bark up that tree, it's gonna fall on you. Look at the tree that Kyrie and Kanye barking up on. I'm not gonna say anything else about that. They're not ready for that tree. You know, just a few apples fell from that tree, and everybody ran. Just a few apples fell from that tree. The branch didn't even fall.
Yeah.
You know, and everybody ran back and was like, "Oh, I'm not with them, Massa. I'm not." I tells you, Massa, I'm not with those Negroes. So let's be real here.
But
The
let's
price,
look at the ones that back them
but
too. We
no,
can't
but what I'm saying is,
again. You're saying
is
we.
that
You're
the
saying we.
price, the
Mhm.
price to pay, because freedom is not free, and if our women are not ready to go into the mountains and use rocks to squeeze them breasts to breastfeed them babies, and for us to, you know, get it in the mud and throw away them iPads and really live as tough like the Amish, we let's not kid ourselves here. So
I,
that's all I'm gonna say about that.
Let me
but
just add
you.
this. Sister.
Mhm.
Let me add this quickly. So reparations is usually something that in a war pays to the winner. Okay, so that's like the terms of surrender. Basically, if like let's say if England and France fight, and then France beats England, they then debilitate the English economy by saying you got to pay us for that war you just cost us, right? Basically, if you want us to stop bombing you, you want us to stop killing your women and children, if you want to stop killing your men, then you have to pay us to stop, right? So if you wanted reparations, if black folks really wanted reparations, they would have to beat these white boys up on a serious level. The idea that, you know, hey, we got to ask them and we got to keep asking them, and then they're eventually going to give us, it doesn't make any sense to anybody, right? Because nobody's going to do that, because it's not worth more for them to pay you reparations than it is for them to not pay you reparations. If you're kicking their ass, if you're burning their businesses, if you're blocking their waters, if you're killing their children and their women, and you're killing their men, and you're doing all that shit, and you're like, the only way I'm gonna stop is if you pay me, right? Then
Yeah, only we gotta limit your responses to like a minute, because it seems it takes about a minute before you cut out. So we're gonna have to limit that to a minute. Did I get to everyone on that prompt?
He made the valid points. He made very valid points.
Can I
Yeah.
can I
Let me say
say?
this. I'm sorry. Go ahead, brother. Because every
Oh,
time you got ready to
I'll,
speak,
I'll
you
be
cut
as
you off.
brief as
Go
I
ahead.
can. I
No,
think
go ahead.
a critical part of the whole reparations thing in relation to the topic, I think that black people naturally, the only way reparations would really work if we actually had a base in Africa. If Liberia were, I hate to say this, it's like if black people could just like say just re-own Liberia again. I'm afraid that reparations as black individuals is not what we need. We need reparations that ties back to Africa and say that we're going to get our money and we have a place in Africa where we can just like have a foothold and just like at least base ourselves there. I think it's the only way that that it can even start to work, because going back to the reparations for the Japanese and all the other peoples who got money in the Europeans, they can go back to their home nations, but naturally become to we're scrambled here in America. We don't naturally have a singular African nation, so we kind of have to pick one. I mean, if Liberia would work, or if somehow Africa could just say, here is a liberated territory for American citizens just on some AU shit. I mean, somehow or another, you have to have a foothold in Africa to actually funnel nationhood type stuff. I'm gonna pass.
All right.
yeah, let me add that too. You gotta have. I'm just saying, you gotta be a
Only,
threat.
only,
If you're not a
only,
threat,
only,
yeah.
only. Let Bakari go. But when you respond, only please just take a minute, because your internet is cutting out after like a minute. Bakari, go ahead.
You know what? I just want to agree when the sister said every time we say something, it just seemed defeated. Like she said, we got to fight. I'm a firm believer if you want anything from this country, you're going to have to be willing to fight. But I also understand that this country ain't giving you shit. And I do want people to understand. You look in the mirror, we are the reparations. We can look and say what the Jews do when they come here. The Jews ain't number white folks. I don't separate them. The
Right.
Italians, when they come here, they ain't nothing but white folk. I don't see. We got to stop separating them. You understand? Because they gonna work together. They are gonna work together. And if you don't think, study something called the $1 wives. and you will see why these white folk here see themselves as still see themselves as the white folk in Europe, because how they were sending their daughters to the European countries to marry so they can keep that connection. We tend to break them down. They don't tend to do that. We do that. Jews, Italians, they ain't number white folk. So they working together. The problem that we have, we don't want to organize. We don't want to organize and work together. You know, like I said, when I did that challenge, it's just a week, Black Business Challenge. How many people truly wanted to participate in? We gonna go past all these people that take, because when people say we broke, taking all our money from our community because we giving it to them. We just go give our money to the Chinese. We go give our money to Arabs, to East Indians, to anybody in our community. Instead of saying, you know what? If we really want something in this country, we're going to stand up and stop giving our money to other people. And we're going to start to work on our own behalf. You understand? So ain't nobody going to give us nothing. You got to be ready. And once you start building your community, they ain't going to make it easy. You got to be ready, and you have to start preparing for whatever they're going to bring your way. And it's just that simple. I understand going to Africa. That's why I plan to be buried. You understand? But I'm here now, and I got family here, and I got friends here, and I know all of them don't want to leave. So we going to have to be here. We going to have to be a bridges. And in order to be a bridges with our people, man, we going to have to be ready for whatever. I hear the mic.
Coco, I just want to put something out there for the record, because BB keeps typing crazy things in the chat. BB, I'm not Nigerian. I don't know which people you're referring to. One, and two, I'm Isoko. If you Google, just type it in, ISOKO, and you research my people. We weren't in the slave genocide. My people did not, and we were well in the thick of it. My people were not involved at all. So when you say your people, this is the problem of today, right? You know, you might have been snatched from my village by people who were a part of it, and your, you know, former ancestors are related to mine, and you're here acting silly, having a beef with me, and I had no hand in it. So when you point, be specific. You know, use a rifle and aim specifically. Don't use a machine gun. That's just what I'm putting out there for the record.
Yeah, you should forget about silliness, man. I'm just being honest, okay? Because I was reading that. That's just crazy. We look to fight one another. We never say that about other people, but I just leave that be because I know he ready to get to his next topic.
Yeah, Oni, I'll give you the last word. Yeah, 1 minute. Unmute your mic.
Yeah, I can't even say anything, man. No, I mean, no, I'm just saying that reparations. Yeah, I mean, look, I think that if you're serious about reparations, you got to fight these boys. But if you talking about just reparations as, hey man, why don't you give it to me because you wronged me? Like, that's not a thing in the real world. You know, nobody gives you something because they wronged you. They wronged you on purpose. You know, they wronged you to get something from you.
All right. I'm going to drop Shoot the Breeze topic number 6. Thanks for that discussion, by the way. Marcus Garvey's way. I hope you got some insight out of that. I'm going to drop Shoot the Breeze topic number 6, which is, should we consider arranged marriages in rebuilding Black families, or is it too strange an idea / practice? That's going to be Shoot the Breeze topic number 6. I do want to do a station ID real quick. It'll take a minute. And on the other side, we'll discuss Shoot the Breeze topic number 6 tonight.